the members. Uh, so, uh, uh, so all of us joining today, of course, know Dr. Suravira very well. She is presently attached to the Directorate of Environmental and Occupational Health of the Ministry of Health as a consultant community physician. And she has specialized in community medicine and holds master's and the doctoral degrees in addition to the MBBS. And also currently, in addition to her responsibilities at the Ministry of Health, she undertake medical teaching at undergraduate and postgraduate levels on occupational environment health, and also visiting lecture in University of Rajarata in the Faculty of Medicine, and also a member of the Sri Lanka Medical Council and the International Commission on Occupation Health. I think more than everything, I would like to introduce Dr. Suravira as one of the, I think, the keen attendee of our, the program we had, Switch Asia program during the period of 4 years. I think, to my understanding, she attended most of the workshops, especially we had for the policy formulation, and her contribution for the policy formulation was great, and we acknowledge that. And so I will, with this little introduction, I will stop sharing this and give the sharing rights to Dr. Suravira. Yes, I have shared, Dr. Suravira. You can now try to share.
Okay. Just a minute, please.
So I'm recording this, and so we will have this all this presentation with the permission of the presenter in our website.
Good evening to you all. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Senanayaka for giving me this opportunity, and very good to sort of, listen to you. So today we are going to, I'm supposed to talk about air pollution and health effects. Actually, I think we need to understand the real gravity of this problem. Just to give a brief outline of the presentation. First, I will be talking about the determinants of health, air pollution and health effects, of course, burden of disease, and the vulnerable groups. Very briefly on reducing and preventing air pollution. Well, first, we need to understand what health is. As per the WHO, it's physical, mental, and social well-being. But certainly some others, they talk about the spiritual well-being as well. And we need to understand that it is not merely the absence of disease. Health is something broader than absence of disease. If you just try to understand the determinants of health, certainly the social and economic environment plays a major role. And on the other hand, of course, the physical environment is a significant determinant of health. Person's individual characteristics, behaviors, and also work and work environment. Work and work environment can be considered under the physical environment. And certainly all these things are significant determinants of health. Again, just to show you in a kind of a picture form. So we need to understand that environmental risk factors or environment is a significant contributor or a determinant of our health. If we try to understand the bigger picture, again, as per the WHO, they say that 23% of all global deaths are linked to the environment. If you just try to understand that in numbers, it's roughly 12.6 million deaths a year. So that's quite a number. It's very, very significant. Again, we need to understand where this is happening. 3.8 million deaths happening in the Southeast Asian region. 3.5 million in Western Pacific, where we have China, and Southeast Asian region, of course, India, Bangladesh, all those countries. We, even in Sri Lanka, we are living in Sri Lanka. So therefore, our region contributes significantly to the overall deaths that are happening due to environmental risk factors. Well, if you try to identify these environmental risk factors, air pollution, inadequate water, sanitation, chemicals, radiation, community noise doesn't contribute to mostly deaths like, directly, occupational risks, agricultural practices, built environments, climate change, all these environmental risks contribute to diseases as well as death in humans. And air pollution is something very significant when you just consider all these environmental risks. We know that we cannot survive without air. Air is very important for all of us. Even WHO has acknowledged that. But very briefly, I know all of us, we know what air pollution is. Air pollution occurs when something that is not good in very simple terms get mixed with the air. But also we talk about main types of air pollution: outdoor air pollution, indoor air pollution. And when we talk about indoor, of course, we talk about the household air pollution as well. So these are some of the cities that have air pollution. But what is happening in Sri Lanka? Are we safe? I don't think so. If you just carefully observe, even past week, this haziness was seen in Colombo. Again, I would like to stress the point that air pollution is one of the world's largest single health risks. And even WHO and all the other countries, especially the developed countries, now they focus on this because the scientists have identified the health impacts as well as other impacts due to air pollution. I would like to draw your attention to these criterion air pollutants: carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, lead, sulfur dioxide, ozone, ground level, specifically to particulate matter, because they have researched this area, and then we see some alarming findings, especially with PM2.5 and further ultrafine, like, even smaller than that. Just to show you the outdoor air pollution sources, we all know these things: traffic congestion and pollution. This is very, very, this again is a very problematic issue in Sri Lanka. And of course, burning, most of the times, even in Sri Lanka, people love to burn things, not only the normal waste, but certainly they add polythene plastics. So we need to understand when you burn these things at lower temperatures, apart from the particulate matter, these actions generate even carcinogenic substances like dioxins, furans, and certainly all these things affect health of humans. So that's about ambient or outside air pollution mainly. And we need to understand about indoor air pollution that is happening indoors. What they say is indoor is a dynamic mix of pollutants. It's not only the chemical pollutants, but certainly, of course, the biological agents posing a huge threat to human health. We need to understand that the effects strongly depend on the type of indoor environment. Just to tell you certain facts about indoor air pollution. Again, as per the WHO, they say 4.3 million deaths happen due to indoor air pollution. And most of these deaths actually happen in Southeast Asian region. They say that household fuel combustion is the most important global environmental health risk. We need to understand still around 3 billion people cook and heat their homes using solid fuel, especially on open fires or traditional stoves. We all know indoor air pollutants, other than the particulate matter, carbon dioxide, formaldehyde, carbon monoxide, emissions from carcinogenic chemicals, again, dioxins, furans, because even in Sri Lanka, there is this practice of burning polythene and plastic, like, when they are lighting up the firewood, the cookers, when they cook with firewood, how they initiate is, of course, our grandmothers, and they used to just they did not use these things, but now, of course, people, they use, especially the female householders, they use polythene and plastic to initiate firewood cooking using firewood. So that again is very harmful, especially for children. Sometimes houses, they will have secondhand smoke also if the fathers and the other adults are smoking inside. Just to very briefly mention the reasons for household air pollution. Of course, poor ventilation. Most of the houses, they don't have chimneys or vents nowadays. Again, using firewood, burning of polythene to initiate fire, mosquito coils, cigarette smoke. So all these things contribute to household air pollution in Sri Lanka. As per the WHO again, 91% of the world population, they breathe air above the WHO air quality guidelines. So which means we breathe air which is not very good for our health. 91% is quite a significant number. When humans are exposed to air pollution, certainly it will give rise to acute toxic effects as well as chronic toxic effects. Acute effects you will see within 24 to 48 hours, but chronic toxic effects, sometimes it will take years to show up the effects. We need to understand that air pollution is affecting our health. Joint effects of household air pollution and ambient air pollution. Ambient is outside the air pollution. again, as per WHO, it's around 7 million deaths per year. This is about deaths, but what about the morbidity, or like, you know, people getting ill? Ambient air pollution, 4.2, household air pollution, 3.8 million. So large numbers when you just consider a single environmental risk factor. Well, let me talk about household air pollution. 3.8 million premature deaths happen every year from household air pollution. Actually, according to WHO, it's mostly created using kerosene and solid fuels such as wood with polluting stoves, open fires, and lamps. Women and children, they are at a higher risk. Why? Because they are the ones who stay at home, and women cook, small children are there, they get exposed to the pollutants. Well, we initially thought, I think most of the people even now believe that air pollution is not good for the lungs mainly, but it's not so. When you look at the literature, you will understand air pollution not only affects the lungs, but it has systemic, or it affects almost all the systems in the human body. Here again, they show out of the deaths that have happened, 18 due to household air pollution, 18% of these are from stroke. 27% out of this 3.8 million are due to ischemic heart disease. That is like, you know, heart problems, maybe heart attacks. 20% are due to chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. That is, when you are exposed to air pollution for long periods of time, your lungs get weak and lungs get irreversible damage. Things like emphysema and other chronic obstructive lung pulmonary diseases. 8% from lung cancer out of this 3.8 million, 8% have died due to lung cancer. Again, out of this 3.8 million, 27% have died due to pneumonia. So it's not only the chronic diseases, but we need to understand air pollution certainly affects even these diseases like pneumonia. Well, this is a photograph or a picture given to me by a cardiothoracic surgeon from India. So this is what he told me. Like initially, when he started operating on humans 30 years ago, he saw the lungs pink and bright. But now this is what he sees. You can see this mottling, black mottling, all black. So these are not healthy lungs. You can't expect people to be healthy having these lungs. Again, if you just, you know, have a close look, you can see these black dots, black mottling in the lungs. Of course, when you are exposed to air pollution over a period of time, this is what happens to your lung. And again, I say, these people are not healthy. They really suffer because the importance of breathing, I'm sure everyone will understand when they can't breathe. Therefore, I would like to say that air pollution is an invisible killer. It may not always be visible, but certainly it is deadly. 29% of deaths from lung cancer, 24% of deaths from stroke. So we need to understand not only lung diseases, but certainly lung cancer, stroke, heart disease can happen due to exposure to air pollution. I mentioned previously that 7 million deaths on average happen each year from air pollution. If we just calculate, out of the 7 million deaths, 5.6 million deaths are from non-communicable diseases. You may agree with me that even in Sri Lanka, we are fighting this battle of non-communicable diseases. Not only communicable diseases like COVID, now non-communicable diseases are a major problem in Sri Lanka. If you just calculate the numbers, out of the 7 million, 2.4 million people have died due to ischemic heart disease. 1.4 million have died due to stroke. 1.3 from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and of course 0.5 million from lung cancer. These are significant numbers, and most of these people who die are in their productive age group. These are premature deaths. Again, just to show you how urban environment impacts our health. Now, these blue dots, if you just, have a look, you will understand. The health conditions associated with air pollution are shown in blue dots. If you just consider the lungs, lung cancer, asthma, respiratory diseases. It's very interesting to understand the reproductive system and the effects to the fetus or the growing baby. Even low birth weight, preterm birth, lower sperm quality, all of these things have an association with air pollution. When you just consider head and neck, stroke, neurodegenerative diseases, autism. Actually, this scientist who did this study, I was there in one of the presentations when he presented in one of the conferences when he presented this. So autism is associated with air pollution. And especially when you consider heart attacks, even the arrhythmias, that those are like problems of maybe if I just try to put it in very simple terms, beating the pace of the heart, issues with that, and also diabetes, thrombosis, the blood clotting. All these things are associated with air pollution. Heart attacks, and of course, ischemic heart disease, stroke. If you just analyze the diseases that are happening from household air pollution, in addition to the ones I mentioned, cataracts are associated with household air pollution. What I want to show you is, it's not only the lung that is affected, the whole human body, most importantly, diseases that are hard to control, we are fighting to control, like heart disease, stroke, cancer, are associated with air pollution. If you just look at this slide, what I want to show you is very simply certain risk factors for non-communicable diseases. And you will understand that air pollution is a significant risk factor when it comes to cardiovascular diseases, as smoking, as high sodium intake, and maybe diet low in fruits. We are always concentrating on these individual behaviors and risk factors. but yet neglecting the overall picture, the environment. Well, I don't think we will succeed in controlling non-communicable diseases if we truly ignore the environment. Disease from Southeast Asian region. Again, you can see the contribution of air pollution, both household and ambient, to all these diseases, cardiovascular disease, and then cancers, chronic respiratory diseases. We need to understand the vulnerable groups. Air pollution affects people disproportionately. The health effects are disproportionate, especially the unborn, young children, pregnant mothers, females, elderly, people having these diseases, already having non-communicable diseases, people with non-communicable diseases, lower socioeconomically deprived people. Also, certain groups of workers, they are at a higher risk of developing the health effects due to air pollution. Again, what they say is 93% of children under 18 years play and live with air pollution levels above WHO guidelines. Just try to understand the burden of disease of children in children under 5 years. They say that air pollution is stunting the brains of our children. As I mentioned, stunted lung growth, reduced lung function, increased risk of developing asthma, acute lower respiratory infections like even pneumonias. And these children will not go healthily. They will have issues in terms of mental and motor development, and especially behavioral disorders such as autism, low birth weight, premature birth. Children can die prematurely, even childhood cancers, and most importantly, increased risk of heart disease, diabetes, and stroke in adulthood. I have mentioned about all these things just to show you why it is important when exposures happen early in the development of fetuses, when most of the important organs are developing. External threats can give lifelong health effects. Well, we say that children are our future, but we need to understand that they are not little adults. All these threats, especially air pollution, is going to affect their health to a significant amount, maybe than the adults, for the reasons I have shown. We all have a right to life. Children too have a right to life. It's a basic human right. But we don't want the children to be like this in the future. The ultimate goal is actually the protection of human health. But will it be a reality? I think we need to consider about this fact very seriously. And again, I say that air pollution is a silent killer, which we all need to understand and take action. Just to mention about another vulnerable group, workers. We know that work and health are very closely related. There are certain kinds of workers, especially the agricultural workers, construction workers. They are exposed to ambient air pollution to a great extent. And even the traffic police officers, the ones who clean the roads, all of them, they are exposed to ambient air pollution. It's still a major problem. Of course, indoor air pollution. There are chemical pollutants, biological pollutants, we need to understand that occupational exposures to occupational exposures with regards to air pollution happens. And of course, these workers are exposed to carcinogens, pathogens. Well, the costs, health costs. I showed the non-communicable diseases and, you know, the costs of the health costs, economic costs, especially because, you know, these are workers. So the productivity losses, in addition to the health cost, and the cost of suffering. Can we estimate, or can we sort of, you know, figure this out? The cost of suffering due to cancer, cost of suffering due to stroke, and so on. But can they stop working? No, because they have to feed their kids. Very briefly, I just want to touch upon preventing and reducing air pollution. What we need to understand is we all have a responsibility. Individuals, we have a responsibility. When we just think of Sri Lanka, maybe the district level, provincial level, national and international level, because transboundary air pollution, and all of us, because this is about the survival of the species, Homo sapiens sapiens. Individual level, of course, you can think of so many activities, we all know. And very broadly, I think we need concerted and coordinated effort to fight this problem. We need to have intra and intersectoral engagement, and especially community engagement. People need to understand that they too have a very significant role to play in this aspect. Air pollution doesn't have boundaries. We need to act fast. Just to show you, the car, of course, runs on money and makes you fat. But a bicycle will run on fat and saves your money because, you know, it will make you healthy. We need to have strategies to promote these things. Well, as Lord Buddha has mentioned, health is wealth, and no wealth is better than health. And again, now I have talked about this. So in 10 years' time from now, we cannot say that we did not know. We all knew of these detrimental health effects, deaths, diseases, especially vulnerable groups, children. I think as adults and professionals, we need to think about this environmental risk factor very seriously, and especially if we love our children and if we want to give hope for them, we need to somehow prevent and reduce air pollution. Thank you very much. But before I stop, I just want you all to have a look at this very simple video clip.
Hi, come on in, have a seat. So good. Hi, come on in, have a seat. So good morning, everyone. When's the last time any of you drew a picture?
Last time.
Today we're here to draw a picture. So what you'll see here are some crayons, colors in each box. choose your colors wisely because there will be another group coming in after you and making another picture of what you leave behind. So here we have the other group.
Everybody say hi.
Why don't we show the kids the pictures that we've drawn?
Yeah, sure.
Sana!
Wow.
Why don't you show them what you drew? Which I wasn't selfish, didn't know you were the right color. Maybe we could have broken the colors and asked them for them for the next.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Inoka Suravira. Thank you very much. It was very informative presentation, giving us a, other side of the picture. We thought it is only the lung cancer, but after listening to you, we really understand the danger. Thank you very much for your time and with your busy schedules accepting our invitation. Now the floor is open for the participants to seek clarification or make comments. Please unmute yourself and ask your question, or even you can use the chat function if you have. I think so. I can see.
Ms. Sanaka, Mr. Parakama has raised the hand.
Yes. Please go ahead, Mr. Jaishankar.
Thank you, Gami. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Inoka. So I should say it's scaring us. You see, a lot of people don't seem to have any clue about the gravity of the thing. You see, and people who really in the decision making seem to be completely unaware or don't want to know. You see, they just wanted to be to be blind to it. You see, the situation be this bad, we'll have to get this into some kind of a primary policy that this has to be taken into consideration in any kind of decision. I mean, Doctor, you have been with us with our consultations and all that. You know how the things turned out in the decisions on the what do you call indices and all that. All what we said was completely ignored. But the question I want to ask is, while the outdoor pollution is mostly due to government policies and the things they do, to some extent, I'm worried about this indoor pollution data you mentioned. There had been an attempt to say that, okay, firewood burning is bad and indoor pollution is caused by that and all that. But the alternative proposed is to convert them to gas, LPG, right? On one hand, I don't think that is the right solution. On the other hand, that is putting a huge economic burden on the people. Because most of the people use firewood because it's available. They don't buy firewood as such, except perhaps in the urban areas. So solution is not that. Unfortunately, that was used, that fact that we have a bad indoor air pollution is used for commercial purposes. Try to promote use more and more. It has happened now. Even in the rural areas, LPG has become the fuel. But I think we have to have a different solution. So we have been used to firewood burning for cooking for centuries. So you can't just go away from that one. But how can we make that one safer than just converting into LPG, which might bring in a lot of other unknown factors too? That's my query actually.
Yes, thank you very much for that, very important question, because as you very correctly mentioned that we have been using firewood for a while, for so many centuries. And when you just look at the national statistics also, still around 66% of the households in Sri Lanka, they use firewood. Actually, that is as per the DHS survey, the Demographic and Health Survey. And we see a disparity between the sectors. Estate sector, I think it's more than 80% of the households, they use firewood. Rural sector, again, it's around 75%, but in urban settings, of course, it's lower, maybe 35 or something like that. So we can't, I think we need to look at the demographics as well as the cultural, as well as behavioral patterns of these people. Therefore, we need to find out why household air pollution is happening. Maybe we can compare with the past. If I just, mention some other few things, which I always tell. Earlier, of course, our grandmothers and maybe the Muttammas and Attammas, they had their kitchens outside the main house. They had their kitchens like that. And of course, even if you take the shrine rooms and all, where they light these incense sticks now inside the houses, again, they had those things outside. So probably they were aware of these effects. And maybe, actually, I was told when I was doing this presentation to some audience in Anuradhapura, one elderly gentleman, retired principal, he told me, Doctor, yes, we didn't use all kinds of firewood those days. We had selected firewood. I don't know, maybe less smoke generating, maybe certain kinds of firewood like that. So they were careful. In addition to that, of course, they had the
Sorry, we lost you.
light, the fire cookers. Yeah. You can't hear me?
Now it's okay. Now it's okay. Please go.
Yes. So where did what is the last?
No, you talked about principal.
Principal, yes. So this this retired principal, he told me that they did not use all kinds of fire to light the cookers. Instead, of course, they had some selected fire types.
Yeah.
maybe less smoke generating or something like that. And then they had the chimneys. They never used maybe polythene, plastic to initiate these things, as well as on the other hand, we need to understand the outside air pollution also was not so a bigger problem those days.
Yeah.
Right? So considering all that, I suppose now we are at a very bad wicket these days. The outside air pollution happening, and then even household air pollution. So all these and most of the others also, we did not know these effects. So as you very correctly mentioned, maybe one thing we can do is just to see how we can use or have cookers, the modified ones initially, so that their exposure time would be less. Modified cookers, like these are the modified or improved cook stoves we have. Improved cook stoves.
I think the most important one is the chimney.
On the other hand, chimney, yes. Because now our houses, of course, they don't have chimney. So we need to find out ways and means of improving air quality inside house.
Okay, okay.
Nimal has raised his hand.
Yes,
maybe
yes.
like
Nimal, can you give me a second? Namis has raised a question. Let's try to address this now. Namis, would you like to raise this question, or you want me to read it out? Namis? Okay. Okay, let me, yeah, it's here. Now, Dr. Suravira, now what he is asking,
yes,
the bicycles burn fat and save money. Outdoor cycling exposes cyclists to higher levels of polluted air and higher rates of breathing. How to solve this dilemma?
yes, that again is a very interesting question. In fact, this same question was asked in one of these conferences, where international conferences. So the answer to that was, even then, the benefits are more, it seems. Like, when you just cycle and all, the benefits are more. Even there is some kind of, some sort of air pollution. But of course, if the air pollution is like, too much, I don't think. Yes. So that is why I think we need to look at these things in a comprehensive way. It's not only about the air pollution, but certainly city planning. And that is the very reason why I mentioned we need to tackle this the problem at different levels. So simple solutions, I don't think are going to be very effective. We need to think of all these environmental risk factors in a comprehensive way and then plan. But certainly when air pollution is there we have site.
Yes, I think some disturbance.
And even walking can give rise to better health outcomes. That's what. You can't hear me now?
There was some disturbance, but I think we got the point. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, Nimal, your turn now.
Yeah. Thank you. One thing is better, I think, Dr. Inoka can switch off the camera and answer, because that will the camera will reduce the bandwidth, and then even we can't hear you. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Anyway,
yes.
Thank you very much. Now it's very clear.
Right. Okay.
Thank you very much for the elaborative and very interesting presentation. In fact, yeah, and the atmosphere doesn't have any limits. So therefore, I think your presentation is well taken. Your facts are well taken. You have mentioned about the, yes, of course, you have mentioned very seriously about the direct, chronic, and acute impacts on human. What about the indirect impacts which could create due to the air pollution? Definitely will affect on the biodiversity. There will be serious impact on the biodiversity, and then definitely there will be a impact on humans. The biodiversity balance, there will be a very serious impact. So ultimately, the impact on human will be, it's not only the direct impact, but of course the the way we are damaging the atmosphere. Again, I think that will. What is your idea about it? That's number one. And then the other thing is we are again talking about the cooking, the use of firewood and indoor cooking. And then if we perfectly think about the solution, I think one of the best solution could be the use of electricity for cooking. But again, that will have a severe impact on the environment, especially with respect to the current the national energy situation, or the national energy balance. Still we are with mostly with the non-renewables, or related to the emission related stuff. So that is again it's a kind of a question we need to address from a very broad perspective. And finally, what I want to ask is, as you are from the health sector, and also you are related to the public sector and the government activities, are we from, with respect to the climate, with respect to the air pollution, are we in a correct decision? The country, are we, as a country, are we in a correct direction? So that's all. Thank you.
Yes, yes, Mr. Pereira. Actually, as you very correctly mentioned, it's not only the direct effects, but certainly we need to be very much concerned about the indirect effects as well. That's the very reason why I mentioned that these environmental risks should not be considered and thought about independently. These are all interlinked. As you mentioned, even air pollution can have a greater effect on trees as well as other living forms, and then biodiversity, climate change. So all these things really can affect human health directly as well as indirectly. When we are tackling environmental risk, I suppose we need to take this holistic approach. So sometimes that's why I don't like, climate change, people trying to do something, air pollution, trying to do something. So we need to have I think, a comprehensive kind of an approach. That's the first thing. The other one you mentioned about this, yes, the ideal would be to cook with the electricity. But then again, if we are like, consuming electricity that is being produced using coal or diesel, that's not going to help. If we can have cleaner fuel sources, maybe like solar or wind or something like that, well, we will get the benefit. Therefore, we need to carefully think about the context of Sri Lanka and maybe like, plan out these things, short term, medium term, and long term, to see at least, to reduce or to manage these things in a stepwise manner. On the other hand, well, we need to work on this, especially air pollution and improving air quality to a great extent in Sri Lanka, because I think now we are experiencing more issues. I have been telling, and I think now we are trying to work on this area. Even transboundary air pollution is becoming a problem in Sri Lanka. If you just carefully observe the Colombo, you will see this haziness, especially like you have so many high-rising buildings now. So you can, even if you just look at this Nelum Kuluna, you will see that haziness. So when I just asked from Mr. Pemsri, he says, yes, the particulates are like up. Therefore, we need to think about air pollution as a serious problem in Sri Lanka, even currently, and take actions. I think the Ministry of Environment, they need to take the leadership and all other stakeholders. We need to understand the gravity of this problem and maybe unite and plan properly, because otherwise the children of this country will not have a very good future. Not only our country, but when the way the things are going on, especially the future generations, they will not be very happy on this planet Earth.
Thank you, Dr. Inuka, for the good elaborative the response for my questions. One more thing, actually, you have missed one slide in the presentation. That's finally to say the best solution for this one is the SCP. Thank you.
Yeah, that is why I showed the video, because actually that's about SCP. So
yeah.
SCP, we need to promote SCP as well.
Okay. Thank you, Nivalan. Thank you, Dr. Inoka Suravira. I think it was a very good presentation. I think we can go on. There are many things. I'm sure you have a lot of other things to clarify. But I think we should relieve Dr. Suravira. She has given us a lot of time.
Namni, just 2 minutes I would like to have, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Sure, yes.
Because Dr. Suravira, now what we must realize is your lecture came at a very, very crucial time. And I must thank Gamini for initiating this, although we have only about 11 people here.
Yes.
Things can change. That is what I'm saying. You see, even if you talk about, say, going for electric cars or something like that, just even 2 years to 3 years ago, people would have laughed at you.
Yes.
But situation has changed. Similarly, solar, rooftop solar, that numbers have changed so dramatically. So in that way, we are actually, at least on paper, there are certain moves that are on the way. Like for instance, this the most vulnerable crowd, that is the Samudri recipients. Now they are being offered 100,000 rooftop solar. There are absolutely no reason why they should not be allowed to have an electric cooker, because they will generate their own electricity. So there is no question of using coal-fired electricity for running your cooker. Yes. Now, these are things that can change, because the time is quite right, even for Sri Lanka. Now, what I would like kindly request you, Doctor, is I would like you to see you write into the papers with at least the crux of these things. And Gamini, we should see how we can promote all the messages that she has given.
Yeah.
Maybe send this in the climate change secretary to start with. And also to the ministry, saying that all projects, both ministries, transport and power, all projects hereafter shall have a component on health and environment. That factor number must be included in their calculation. That is what, if we can get it into the policy, then we can start making the change. Sorry to have taken time, Doctor. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your presentation.
You're welcome, and it was my pleasure, because because I'm really sad in a way, because we need to see the future of our children. So I'm worried about it. I'm very much worried about it. So therefore, I think, as you very correctly mentioned, somehow we should convey these messages to the highest level and make them understand about the dreadful effects of air pollution, not only to the lung, but all the others. Thank you very much again. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Doctor. Okay. I think now without switching into the other Zoom, I think we can continue. We cannot, I think, because there's heavy rain in many parts of the country. And I got a lot of messages saying that they are unable to connect. I got message from Sena, from Leela, saying that, you know, they, and also some of them do not have electricity, the power. So shall we continue with this, the connection, Ajit, you are here, no?
Yeah, we can continue with the same link, I think, yeah, without switching again.
We'll continue
if it
because
is okay,
I don't think there will be other members, you know, trying to join the meeting today. So without taking much time, so we have, I think the next one, let me take, I have also shared with you a little agenda, a tentative agenda. The first point, I think we should decide the next presentation. We should continue this. Last time with Dr. Sugatapala's presentation, we had, I think, close more than 30. So today it was not very encouraging. And also I think we should somehow we should continue this. And also my humble request, I think our members should join little early. If the presentation is at 8 o'clock, I think about 5 minutes before would be fine, because it's not nice to keep the presenter waiting until we join. I know it is Saturday and the long weekend for some, and with a lot of commitments, the difficulties, and who will do the next presentation after 2 weeks, that is on the 27th at 8 p.m. and on what topic? And also, I think since we have started with the air quality, even we can continue if we have something important to, you know, discuss. Any idea? Any suggestions?
Damini, if you like, I can do something on electrification of transport. It's connected to this. Yeah. So picking up from what Tusita did, and also what Dr. Suravira gave me a lot of more ammunition.
Okay. So you are talking about e-mobility in general, or?
Yeah. Basically that, e-mobility.
Okay, fine. So then I will ask Chandima to prepare a flyer. If you could share with us a little, say, few points you will emphasize, and also little profile of yours, so that, you know, we can. And also, I think we need to. I think you have passed this to someone. Likewise, I think we need to share this with our other network partners.
Yeah, I think we should share this one with other organizations, even ISL. Yeah, because ISL seminars, I have seen very good presence, you know, something 150, 160.
I think our publicity is not good enough. I think it is only
our few members only.
Yeah. Anyway, now let's see, you know, how we can improve that. So then we will go ahead with your one. So that's okay. And also now Mr. Senapiris has sent a note saying that he has no electricity to join, but he needs the, say, green light to go ahead to communicate to APRSPP about the roundtable in 2022 or 2023. So forum to be the you know, the host here. So he needs the permission of the board to make this communication before 15th. That is next Monday.
Yeah. So there are no choice. Yeah, no choice. We should say yes.
So I hope you have no objection for him to, ask to go ahead. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think Gamini, Sena has had a chat with me also.
Yeah.
We will go ahead because these are a good opportunity for us to have a good recognition in the region or maybe in the SCP environment. That's a good thing. We'll go ahead.
We will. We have time now. Time to get ourselves organized. I think we also need to make a proposal. So I requested Sena to have a little committee to work on it. So I will talk to him after this.
Yeah.
So then,
Actually, with regards to the promotion of our the webinar, we were a little bit late, I think. Para, I think, Mr. Jasing, I think you may agree with me.
Yeah.
We would have shared this one with the IESL, especially if the CEB people, if they got it into the, the presentation, they would have definitely realized the weight of what we are talking.
Okay. Yeah. And Nimal, I have a few points noted down for you to explain to the board. The one thing is this consultancy opportunity to get involved in consultancy.
Yeah.
Would you like to brief us on this initiative?
Yeah. Two things actually. I think I have to make my comment. One thing is the about the adding a web page. Of course, what I am doing these days is I am planning a kind of a separate kind of a web page diversion or sub page to the structure of this one. And before talking to the web developer, I think we have to have this. I think Sena has joined.
Yes.
So therefore, that's something I'm doing it. Most likely by next week, I will be able to complete that my draft, and then I will discuss with him about what we are expecting. Basically, to promote the SCP and then to develop a kind of a SCP national network. So that is something something what I have in my mind. So after I prepare this one, definitely I will discuss with Gamini what I have in my mind, and then I will discuss with him, and I'll come to the discussion with the web developer. And then regarding the consultancies, I think I'm not going to expose what is the main reason behind for that, but some of you all already may know that in SLIMA we have we were undertaking a lot of consultancies. Some of those consultancy assignments are not very much directly related to the theme of the SLIMA. So therefore, sometimes they just send away. So those things actually I want to. There is one particular assignment is pending and going around, but still they have not given the green light from the particular organization. Immediately after I received the green light from this particular agency, I will open up it to, I think that would be better, I think, Gamini, rather than just jumping the gun at this particular moment.
Yeah, Nimal, I think now, I think what we should discuss now,
yeah,
in principle, the board should, accept this kind of thing, getting involved in, say, consultant assignment of other organization, and deploying a team of the consultant who could handle this task.
Yeah.
So in principle, the board should make the decision whether to do it or not. The second thing, then what is the mechanism? Now, different organizations have different mechanisms. say organization keeps service fees. Now universities have different system, the SLEEM has different system, some other companies have different systems. So we should decide what kind of system we should have it at our forum. And also the thirdly, then also we should have a very good system of quality control of because then though it is going to be our members, I think there must be a system of the internal system to maintain the quality, because ultimately it will be not the individual, it will be the forum. So I think these are the three things I think we can discuss now, because we don't need to get into a particular assignment to decide. So it is when we decide, this is how it is going to be, then we can go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah,
So now,
I think I am fully agree with Gamini. We have to maintain the quality.
Yeah.
Quality and the deadlines, we have to keep in mind. So that should be a must.
Yeah.
And also, I think from the SCP perspective, what I feel is there are no limits. Whatever the things, even if consultancy on dropping of waste on the road is again a kind of a consultancy which could be addressed by the how to make a disposal of waste, a kind of a consultancy. Even that could be a small kind of a direction we can think about for a consultancy. But one more thing which I want to clarify with you and the forum: are we going to limit it to the current members, or can we absorb some of the other the consultant, maybe the outside people for this? Let's say if I'm getting an opportunity to make a consultancy, definitely there will be a good portion for economic portion for our forum. That's why I am very much interested about to bring that sort of consultancies to our forum. And then in that case, are we ready to bring the outsiders? Let's say outsiders means not the people who are just some of the people who are going around, but if somebody is having a good professional background, can we bring them to this consultancy as a team member?
Yeah, Nimal, I think now for this, I think we can discuss. I think we should have a kind of say the concept note for the whole thing. Now, as I see it, now anything related to SCP can be our the domain, anything. So a lot of areas, there will be some connection to SCP. So in that respect, I think our scope has there's no limit kind of thing under the SCP. Then the second thing you asked, of course, we have a very limited, the crowd here. We have only about 20-25. As you said, there may be a lot of, we may need to have a lot of other expertise, the external expertise. But one thing we could do, we can ask them to get the membership of our forum to be in our team. That's a simple thing, So one thing, so if now most of them will qualify, what the requirement we have, to put down. Anyone can be eligible, this kind of the people, but they can become the members first. That will not take time. No, I mean, this is just click of button, you can do that. So we will request them to become members. Then, of course, that we can get, and also, I mean, there must be someone taking the lead for say the assignment. And now, suppose if you are getting a lead, so then you will be looking for people who could, be in the team. Then we will have a, say, internal committee, subcommittee within the forum to, look into, the quality control and even the selection of team. I think this is how it is done in other organizations as well. I'm sure the SLEMA also must be having a similar system. So we will, without trying to, reinvent the wheel, we will try to adapt the systems practiced by other professional organizations. Only request I would like to make, I think like what SLEMA is doing, we should not keep 30%. My suggestion, maybe it is open to the discussion. Others could come up with different. My suggestion for this kind of thing, I think we should not go beyond 10% for the organization. Of course, now we don't have money, we need money. But I think the 10% service fee is good enough for the organization. Yeah.
Yeah, your point is well taken, Kamini. No, actually what I mentioned is about this 30% thing in my previous discussion with you, not here. It's basically that was the practice. Sometimes in certain cases, we are limiting it to maybe 10%, 20% or 25% or whatever. So that decides by the mainly the team leader. The team leader decides that factor and then justifies to the board. So this is the kind of portion we are keeping for SLEMA as the administrative overhead. And then that's how we are doing it. So
yeah, but I think Nimal, I think rather than going by case, we will, that we can discuss and, have a fixed amount irrespective of the assignment. That, 10% or 15% or whatever, 20% or whatever. Then from that, because we should not try to, because now ultimately it is these consultants doing the job, and it is only and all our administrative expenses and all that, and also for the committee looking into the quality aspects also we need to make a payment, that kind of thing. So this number we can maybe not today, we can decide. Maybe what I would suggest, Nimal, if you have written something in SLEMA, why don't you the other things what we did? Shall we get this and get it adjusted to our system?
Yeah, that's possible. Actually, Gamini, why we have decided this the 30% is mainly if you consider the administrative expenses for SLEMA is very much higher than the SCP forum, because we have to pay the rental, we have to pay about 3 or 4 people who are working permanently. So likewise, there are a lot of administrative overheads, which we were maintaining for last maybe 30 years or so. So therefore, that's why one of the reasons, because we have to anyway maintain those. But in the case of the SCP forum, we don't have such a heavy burden. So therefore, limiting it to lower portion for SCP would be, I think, reasonable. But of course, my intention is our professional knowledge should, indirectly share the burden of, bringing the value of all the deposits of SCP forum as much as possible.
Yeah, initially we can start off with a small amount, and as we go on, when we have the permanent staff and things like that, then we can, and also then the people will get to know that the SCP forum is also the credible organization to the handle consultancies and things like that. Then gradually we will move into a different slab.
Yeah, that's the way to go. I mean, I think what I want to raise, the most important thing is any assignment that we take on, one of our members must take on the leadership and the commitment to deliver. You see, because assignments can't be done by committees. Actually, it's eventually done by somebody who gathers together the rest of the people. So this, going back to what we are discussing, yes, best thing is whoever we are want to talk, try and get them to be members. Even otherwise, that responsibility should lie with one of our members who must take it on.
Certainly,
Because,
certainly.
he can't sort of throw back to us to saying that, okay, you have taken this assignment, you are not doing anything about it.
Yeah,
We can't take that risk. So
Yeah, yeah.
somebody must willingly make that commitment, and that's the most crucial part of it. Of
Yeah,
course,
that's right.
this other subcommittee to cut the QC aspects is also important. But the first most essential part is that somebody willingly on the responsibility as the team leader, and he must be responsible to deliver. That's the most crucial thing.
That's right.
Gamini, can I come in here?
Yes, Chandra.
Yeah, normally, say if say if we are taking up a assignment as SCP forum, then what we should basically can do is that is what normally the donors accept. Say now say Chamber is doing something, so we can bid. We can include the the separate fees for separate staff involved, and then there is a admin fee. Normally that varies from 7% to 10%. USA basically accept 10%, others 7%. Different agencies. So if it is an individual assignment, I don't think the forum getting involved will make any sense. Say if it is a bigger assignment where at least 2-3 people involved, and there is a team effort needed, then we can make that undertake this assignment on behalf of the forum as the forum, and then whatever individual fees can go to those people, but then that admin fee, even if the organization is not willing to pay admin fee, then we should basically charge a small admin fee. It can be 7% or 10% from that consultancy fee that should come to the forum. That is the normal accepted norm in the implementation of donor funded projects.
That's right. That's right.
Chandra, but our requirement is actually we want forum to be recognized as the source of this kind of consultancy. So even if it's a small one which is done by
because I'm talking through experience with Jaising. For example, when I was implementing the second EU Switch Asia project, I got the Institution of Environmental Professional as a partner. So there were 2 people assigned to the project, and then there's for their involvement, human resource cost went to them, and admin fee went into the association. And since they have got the assignment on behalf of the association, even charging a small fee from that direct fees also makes sense. Because the organization has helped them to get that assignment.
Certainly.
Yeah, definitely I agree with the Chandra's comment as well. But in this, when we were proposing this, when I was proposing this sort of a consultancies for SCP forum and discuss with the president, the main reason there are 2 sides of this coin. One is to kind of give the commitment as our professional commitment to earn something for the forum. That is one side of it. And also the other side of it is the recognition or the promotion of the name of our association or the forum among the general public or maybe the needy communities, to say we are available for this sort of this thing. And let's say, if I say like this, suddenly if I receive a kind of a request for an energy audit, and then if my association SLEMA is having enough of consultancy, if I can decide to give either 1 or 2 for the SCP forum without making any disturbance to my relationship with the SLEMA, with the agreement of SLEMA, and then we can share those. It's not only this one. And also, let's say if it is a purely environmental audit, we SLEMA are not in a position to take that sort of thing. because that is beyond our, the team. So therefore, in those cases, we can bring those to SCP forum and handle it, and at least giving a portion of this one, which could be a kind of a professional contribution to the association from each of these members. So that's something I was thinking from my, planning.
We want to build up a reputation for the forum as a source of this kind of consultancy. So what
exactly.
we get is, even if the individual members get some kind of this thing, I'd like to see them coming and working through the forum. But on the other hand, if it is small enough, this thing, we have only one member taking up that one. Otherwise, of course, the bigger assignments, he will take some members from some of our own members, or even people from outside. So the whole idea, Chandra, is that we want to build up our reputation as a place for people to go asking for this assignment. But that is more, leaving aside the money side of it, that is the reputation we want to build up. And like Nimal says, there are certain areas that we do have the expertise and the exposure, where we should be recognized as the best place to go for that kind of thing. That's the reputation we want to build up. So this percentage and all that, those are material. Those we can decide as we go along. But primary requirement is for us to get recognized in that profession.
Exactly. Exactly. This is the credibility. I think since I think all of us know, in the consultancy business, it is the word of mouth. If you do a job good, then there will be repeat, the jobs coming in. Likewise, as an organization, I think we should try to build that reputation. This is what is required there. So the delivery is important because a lot of people take assignments, but when it comes to delivery, they don't do it. Even some organizations are very good in getting assignment through the connection, the network, and all that. But when it comes to delivery, some are not doing the way expected. So I think from the beginning, I think the forum, I think we should try to have a different name, as Mr. Jayasinghe said. Yeah. So the reputation building, and then the organization will come, and if we deliver. Yeah. So let's start with what you have, Nimal. So I think the two things came up. This number, we can decide the percentage, whether it is 10 or 15 or whatever. And also someone must take the leadership, one of our members to, take the responsibility of, for the delivery.
About the full information about what I have in mind, and the information about this assignment, when I receive the further confirmed information, definitely I will start communicating, because every fortnight we are meeting. So therefore, no issue. We can discuss very quickly. Or otherwise, if we need to discuss and decide something very quickly, I will keep you informed, and then quickly we can have a, sudden, urgent kind of a meeting as well.
Yeah.
So let's decide it.
Yeah. So, for all purposes, we can, treat this as our board meeting, and Ajit is the making notes, I suppose. And also, Nimal, we need to make sure that, we are not, competing with our sister professional bodies.
Not at all. Not at all. I don't want to.
So that also we should be. So we should not be a problem for other organizations. So let's have some, our other guidelines. Even for this one, I think maybe we can prepare guidelines. Yeah. Okay. So then you can go ahead. Then we have Sena. You are here. Yes, Sena.
Yes.
Absent. We discussed briefly.
Yeah.
And and decide to give the green light for you to make this communication before 15.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So that you need to do quickly. No, today is.
I'll do it tomorrow.
Is left. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll send a mail immediately, and if necessary, I will ask them what sort of information they need immediately. But I'll confirm that we are interested in holding the next regional roundtable.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. And also now about the Earth Day, April 22nd. Can you make the board understand what you have in your mind?
Yeah, I think the Earth Day, their theme, I think, and the Nimal also saw this, I think, restore our Earth or something like that. Mm-hmm. So what I thought, if we can talk about something like lifestyle change and change of behavior, we have to identify somebody for that one to speak. Then we have to decide on a theme. Yeah. Then we can inform the Earth Day, this organization, that we are going to have a webinar like this, and then they will publicize it.
Okay.
There won't be any cost to us. They will publicize it so that everybody will know that we are having a webinar, and then we have to decide on the date and all the details we have to give them.
Okay.
So I just asked Nimal also. So he also has gone through this one.
Okay.
So, but we will decide in a day or two. I will come back by say Tuesday. I come back to you with some alternative suggestions, some names, and then some themes. Then once we decide by, I think in about a week's time, if we inform the secretariat, that will be enough.
Okay, fine.
The issue is, Sena and Gamini, one thing is actually the Earth Day falls on 22nd, I think, 22nd of April.
22nd, yes.
Yeah. Now, if we plan the regular date which we are doing this, the webinar, it will be a post event if we plan it by 24th. But I think I have already discussed with Sena to have a session by 10th of April. If we can make the organization aware about our this thing, and then make the promotion, there won't be a difficulty or error if we do it even prior to the Earth Day, because rather than waiting until the Earth Day, there will be a lot of people who are talking about the day and then making a lot of discussion. Rather than having this one, I think the 10th April is one of the next date which we are following our regular date, because 27th is the next meeting, and then 10th is the next one. So I'm proposing to have a session on on this 10th of April prior to the Earth Day, and then there will be more and more people who will gather around the event, maybe locally, maybe internationally, which will be a good point for forum.
Don't you think these New Year holidays will be a problem?
Yes, Gamini, this is what I looked at the thing also. I think from 11th, there are holidays. Yeah. So a lot of people will not have any interest on this. They will be focusing on New Year. So having it before 15th is not going to have much gathering locally. Much audience locally.
That's right. That's right. Sean,
that is correct. Accepted, but I think if we are really have a concern, maybe the New Year period is the best period to think about our SCP. Don't you think so?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But the getting participants, even today's presentation, it was a bit disappointed. The presenter. I think we had only 6 or 7. When she started the presentation. So that also we should even we are not getting our members.
Gamini, again, can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, Chandra.
shall we make this presentation thing once a month, like, then at least we can, have enough time to, promote and get, I mean, rather than having bi-weekly, monthly, if we can make it monthly, then I think.
Chandra, what we, of course, we will discuss and, decide why we, decided to have this webinar, because as a promotion of, because now we need to let other people know that, there's an entity exists like this.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if we can have bi-weekly, super. But the thing is, I fully agree with you. I also feel, very embarrassed today. There were only 8 in the beginning, and then it went up to 11 and again dropped. Yeah. And that is including Dr. Inoka and her husband also was there, I think, Kusal.
Yeah. So
that is of course even
there's another thing. Actually, in a way, I tend to agree with Chandra. All of us are involved with various other organizations. We have webinars. Actually, I have morning one, evening one kind of thing. Therefore, that's also a factor to be taken into account, particularly these days because of this COVID thing. All our meetings are on Zoom now. Therefore, that's an issue. So maybe for the time being, I think what Chandra is suggesting has merit.
Okay, so in that case, are we going to change from next presentation, or now according to our earlier schedule, it has to be on the 27th?
Make it to the 10th.
One thing is, Namini, President, we have to decide because especially we are focusing and trying to do something with the international perspective, especially with the international perspective, focusing on this World Earth Day. So we have to decide when are we going to do this.
Isn't that date fixed for us by others, Ganimal?
No. The World Earth Day is fixed.
Yes.
So why don't you do it on the 22nd then?
Sorry?
Why don't you do it on the 22nd itself without changing the date?
No problem.
Yeah, this one I also feel that we should organize this on 22nd.
It's better to be on the same day. Yeah.
No issue for me.
Yes.
As a forum, we have to decide and declare. That's all.
No, now two things. Now, why we wanted to have a regular, the time and the date, expecting, the more members to join, rather than, changing the, the dates every time. So that was the idea behind. So Earth Day, I think we will go ahead with the 22nd. I mean, we can adjust now, we can inform our members, and but other meeting, I think somehow we need to bi-weekly or monthly.
Fixed date.
Fixed date, fixed time, so that people know. This is the date. Like, yeah.
Gavin, may I suggest for the time being we'll make it monthly and a fixed date.
Yeah.
But as things improve, maybe we could bring it back to the 2-week period. Right now, of course, people are involved so much. Actually, you are much busier than when we had COVID. You see, because then people were having to visit and therefore they made choices. But now, when you see so many, you like to join up with some of them.
Yeah, that's right. So shall we then make it anyway? We go ahead with the 27th one. 27th one, then thereafter every 27th, every month 27th. But your presentation, I think we can have it on the 27th, no?
No problem. I have no problem on that.
Yeah. So then thereafter we will have it on 27th.
Can I make a proposal, Gamini, to have the Earth Day thing at least just one day before the Earth Day? I don't know. I'm thinking from a different perspective rather than, addressing or maybe making a presentation about the same day, at least on the previous day, if we can address this one we can definitely bring lot of people to this one with a good promotion among maybe other our the colleague associations like ISL, SLIMA, or maybe even our Environment Professionals Association, like all these people, we can make it promote. And then the other thing is I was thinking about, let's say, if we plan this one for 22nd of April, again, that will be just another event for the day. So that's why I was thinking to just to propose. I don't know
Nimal, will there be another event on the 22nd conducted by other organizations?
There will be. I don't know. There will be some other organization because normally when there is a this sort of an international day, let's say World Environment Day, there will be a lot of people who are planning the events for the same day. So what I thought is to have a different perspective.
Yeah, in that case, Nimal, don't you think that we should also join them and have a otherwise if definitely if there's something on the 22nd, us having another one on the 21st, I think is going to then the people will get confused now. Okay, now there will be a big event on the 22nd, so now this organization trying to do something before that.
No issue. You can decide. You can make a decision because that's something. It came to my mind because rather than we addressing on the same day, because sometimes the people who are gathering around will be frustrated. So sometimes they will feel that no, this is another event only. This is another webinar only. As Parag just mentioned, now these days there are so many webinars, sometimes overlapping with each other. So difficult. So that's why I thought to have a kind of a giving a prior idea about this one and to make a kind of a case.
No, I think it's best if if we can join up so that we bring in our perspective into the thing as part of the. It depends on what kind of thing is planned by other people. If it's a sort of panel discussion or something like that, several presentations over a longer period, then if we can get a slot on that one, that would do the trick because we'll have a better audience on that one.
Yeah, that's right.
If that is not feasible, then we should look at what Nimal is suggesting.
Yeah, Gamini, I think this what I thought was also, I want to check with Ministry of Environment whether they are having any plan. They usually have a plan for the Environment Day, but not for the Earth Day. Last year, if I remember right, it was GSMB had some program on the Earth Day. No other programs were there. During the last couple of years, Earth Day was not celebrated big, but on the Environment Day. So, but as you said, if there's any program, we should join that rather than doing it ourselves. I was thinking of asking a couple of organizations, like maybe even MAS or INSEE to, either sponsor this and also probably join hands. If there is a program already planned, national program, we will join that. Yes. And so this is what I had in mind. That's why I said Tuesday, because Monday I will check with everybody. And by Tuesday, then we can decide which way to go.
Okay.
And I don't believe that we should have it in prior to that. On 22nd is a Earth Day. What we are telling them to change their lifestyles, at least for the future. So it doesn't matter what day it is. Even if we have it on the Earth Day, even after that, doesn't matter because we are talking of this Earth Day is on this particular day. The purpose was that, the restoring the Earth. So restoring the Earth, this is our message. So it doesn't matter the day. Okay. So I believe that we should do that. I'm not saying we should have it on before Earth Day, on the Earth Day or any day. But Earth Day is a significant day. So that will be everybody will look at that particular day as a special day. Yeah. So this is why I believe, but if there's a national program, definitely we'll join them.
We'll join them, yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay. I agree with Srinava. The one thing is actually you came out with to have a discussion with INSEE. because INSEE is an organization who are benefiting from the earth, seriously benefiting from the earth. So therefore, I think there will be a justice, and also they would like to contribute. That's something I was feeling.
Okay. 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 Then fine. Ajit, I hope you are taking notes of these discussions, no?
Yes, I'm taking.
Okay, thank you, thank you. And then the final point, Mano, are you with us?
And one more point, Kamini, we have to always think about now in Salima. Actually, I have introduced a kind of a event to discuss about this one. A kind of a discussion forum every month, or maybe in a regular interval, to have a forum or a kind of an event to discuss about something like a brainstorming session. ඒකට ඇත්තට හොඳ නමක් තියෙනවා in the Judewan in Judes ලගේ there is a very perfect name. I can't remember that. What they were doing is like to take a kind of a phrase from their Old Testament, that is the Bible, the Old Testament, and they are arguing on this one for maybe a couple of days or even a couple of weeks. Synagogue concept. So the synagogue concept is like this thing what we have done now, because we were discussing from different perspective and different ideas, and then finally come to a kind of a decision what we should do. And we will try to have in our forum.
Yes. Okay. Then the final point, Mano.
Yeah, I can hear you. It's okay. Now I have to thank all the directors who had responded quickly to my request, and there are maybe 4 or 5 directors has responded, and I got 11,000 rupees today. That means up to this date. That means Saturday, 13th. I am expecting some more money to be coming within tomorrow, day after tomorrow. I think within this week we can open our account. I don't know the document side. I think documents are ready. Ms. Chandima. It's okay?
Yeah, she is not present.
Okay, I know that.
She's not connected.
I have to get the confirmation document, but anyway, I can contact bank, and I think that 10,000 is the basic deposit. So anyway, we will do that in tomorrow, maybe within next week.
Since you have 11,000, you can open the bank account now. 10,000 is the amount, I think. Yeah, it is going to be.
I hope that our other directors will join with us.
Yeah,
I will.
And
the signatories is completed, Mano?
I couldn't get any information from Ms. Chandima. I think that Mrs. Sirivardhan has handed over all the documents to Ms. Chandima.
Because we have signed certain mandate forms.
Yeah. We have to get the mandate, and we have to submit the document that board resolution is for the nominating 2 or 3.
Manu, will you please look into next week? Yeah.
Yes.
I think the Mrs. Sirivardhan said he can prepare all this in the board resolution and all that.
Yeah.
Because I think now getting the account early is important, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. So then now it is 10 o'clock. I think we have taken 2 hours. Thank you very much. And Mr. Parakmo Jayasinghe, so then the 27th going to be your presentation.
I'll get ready with that.
And thereafter we will have it once a month.
Kamini, can I get presentation?
Sorry?
Dr. Inoka's presentation, can you forward it to me?
Yes, we can see
that presentation.
Okay.
Did you hear me, Kamini?
Yeah.
Today's presentation, can I get hold of that?
That means recording of this one.
Yeah. Or the PowerPoint document.
Yeah, the recording is also available. Also, I can ask Dr. Inoka to share the presentation with us.
That'll be good. That'll be easier.
Yeah, but I think the last presentation, last webinar couldn't be open because the password may be incorrect. So I tried several times, but I think Mr. Senanayak will please check it out and send again.
Okay, I will check. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay then. Okay. Thank you very much and good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.